Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone is enjoying their day. Depending where you're watching in the world, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, I hope this content finds you blessed. And as always, I thank those for tuning in to the Rebuilding Community Trust channel, where we talk about things that affect the African American community and everyone else. As always, please go ahead and hit the like button. Please share the material so others can see and others can get something out of this video. For those who are new, welcome you to the channel and hope that everything that you check out will be a blessing and help you with your walk. And as those who have been tuning in, please continue to share and like the video. So I tried to do a video yesterday and I did some review and it wasn't to my liking. So I'm going to try to redo this video. Hope that it helps you. And of course, I'm going to share some personal testimony. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I want to talk about something that that happened to me. And of course, I'm going to use some other things that I saw in the media to kind of back up what I'm saying. So, had an event in my life took place with one of my kids. And I talked about in my last video about the court system and the child support system and some of the other things that I talked about in my last video. So this video is going to kind of piggyback off some stuff. Kind of going a different direction with this one because this is something that I think that men needs to understand, men needs to see, and hopefully if you're experiencing this or have experienced this, that you can share this with someone else or pass the word on. Not bashing women, but I'm going to try to keep it as brutally honest as I can because these things that I personally experienced and I know that others are experienced or have experienced when it comes to dealing with relationships in regards to children and dealing with the other party. So a few days ago, my oldest child, is 20 years old, and we're at a point where we no longer talk, whether it's temporary or permanent. And for me, it was a lesson learned. It hit the brick wall because I was the type of person that honored parenthood. I told myself that I was going to always be there for my kids. I was going to support them. I was going to try to be the best version of a father as I could. And unfortunately, this event has changed my mindset in regards to how I see things. Not to say that I won't support my other children, not to say that I'm going to stop being a father and being a parent, but this is something that I had to understand and learn when it comes to dealing with adult children. So, again, there was an event that took place and I was supporting my adult child in regards to paying certain bill. And while she's in college and I made a commitment, I talked to one of her relatives that was willing to help out with this bill. And I was paying something towards it every month. Mind you, when it comes to the relationship with the mother, it wasn't good. It's never good. It hasn't been good at all. And at this point, I'm no longer talking to the mother in regards to the child. And the relationship with my child, it was on and off. She was going through something. She was going through different events in her life. And as the relationship foundation between me and her, when something has happened to her, the pattern is that I never would find out. I would never know about what's going on with her until the last minute or until it's already have happened. So while I'm paying this bill for the last 2 years, I've been paying on it. And the relative will reach out to me every month and will always ask me when I'm going to send this money. And I'm the type of person that, again, my mindset is to help the child, was to support the child. And there's a lot of things that was said. I just try to ignore it. I try to just focus on supporting this child. Got to a point in my mindset that I got tired of the badgering, is what I call it, of when you're going to send this money. And while I was paying this money, I had put into a certain bank account, and I would see other things come out for what it was said to be used for. It was other things being spent on it. And I let it go for months at a time, didn't say anything about it. Figured, hey, she can use it, she needs it. So at this point, it started to bother me. One of the reasons it bothered me is because I was getting basically always text about money, about sending this money. And you can ask and say, well, why does it matter so much? As a man, you shouldn't matter. As you said before, you didn't worry about it, right? Why does this bother you so much? And again, the reason it bothered me because one, when the money was used outside of what it was used for, as what the relative said she needed it for, the child didn't call me back. She didn't reach out to me and say, hey, is it okay to use this for something else? And again, to those, it may not be a big deal. It may just be okay, doesn't matter, you got the money. But my mindset is that the child should understand to learn to, one, prioritize and budget your funds. Teaching skills. Okay, you're working, you're in college. Agree to help you with your bills. But when you're starting to do other things with it, where you're not discussing what you're doing, ultimately, it's disrespectful. So, not only was the relative harassing me about the money every month, I didn't get any conversation with my child, and she didn't say, hey, Dad, this is okay, what's going on? No conversation. And you can say that I should have called, I should have picked up the phone, and there's times where I've tried to reach out. And there's times I haven't. So, I'm not sitting here blaming her per se. I'm just expressing what led up to this moment. So there was a big argument that took place. I was talking to the relative. I was expressing myself in regards to how I'm looked at as a father. When you don't respect or don't understand the relationship aspect, when the patterns are shown where, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. When the patterns are shown where there's consistency of showing that the father doesn't matter in regards to the child, and the mother teaches the daughter to act that way, not only just towards me, but towards other her grandparents, to her grandmother, to other family members. When the grandmother or the aunt, whoever it is in my family that sends stuff for Christmas or sends stuff to try to show, to check on my daughter, there was no conversation. There was no phone call. There was no reaching out to these people to say, hey, a basic thank you, or hey, I just appreciate what you're doing. So all in all with this, it led up to the point where I had a moment where I blew up in the situation. I probably shouldn't have, but I expressed myself in a way that I felt like I'm not being treated as I should be treated. I'm not respected. I'm not valued. I'm not, saying, at least the common courtesy to reach out and say, hey, this is what's going on. Communication, basically. So now I attempted to try to fix it or try to reach out and say, hey, this, try to explain and maybe just even talk. And now the situation is past what it is. So what led me to that moment? What made me blow up? Being in the situation where a man, a father, if you're in a relationship with a woman and and the relationship doesn't work out, then we're going to be hunted about it, because who has a child more? Is it a father? In some cases, fathers do have the child. They're single dads. Very rare. A lot of times in the black community, the mothers have the kid. The mother has the son, or mother has a daughter. And a lot of my time with my child, it was a lot of just limits. There are women who had children with a man, but doesn't understand the value of a father, understand the value of a man in the child's life. And when that's the case, they raise the child as such as to think that all the job of the father is to do is just pay. Yes, a man's supposed to provide and protect. That's with marriage, that's with kids. But that's not the full responsibility of a father. Or that's not all he does is just pay money. And when a mother teaches a child that, whether it's a son or a daughter, when they teach that all the father is about is paying money, when other things happen in the child's life that the father wants to be involved in, and the other parent doesn't involve the other parent inside the child's life, then it causes a buildup. And that's what happened with me. It was a buildup. There were things that happened in my child's life that I didn't find out until she was older, or I didn't find out until she decided to tell me about it. So when it was time something for me to involvement, it was always financial. It was always, can you pay this? It's always, can you send this? It's always, can you do this? It was never ability for me to pour in. And that was the pattern throughout her time. And it just got to a point where I just said, I'm done. So how often does this happen when it comes to a man? How often does this happen where a man is trying to be there for his kid, and it's not, nothing's cultivated, and it's just about a money pit? There was an Angry Man's podcast. Corey Holcomb, a comedian, a couple of days ago, spoke out about his daughter and how his daughter tried to use him and play with him and then tried to manipulate. And he responded in a way that was a little bit explicit, but responded as saying that, hey, I'm done. I'm not going to play the game. I'm not going to give in to the pressure. Especially when from what I know, he has tried to raise his daughter. He tried to help his daughter. And when men try to do that, and they're trying to be, and they're usually pressured to be manipulated to pay this and pay that, then, and that's all they're valued to be, it causes some type of anger, or it causes frustration. So when I heard this podcast, and I was just trying to work through and see if I can put this video together, it was a lot of things said about how men have to respond. And men are responding, and I'm not saying it's right, but men are responding to where they're saying that I'm not going to be there for my child when she's an adult because of this relationship. It was a point where the angry man, he responded by saying that in the 60s, right, the early 80s, the 60s to the 80s, where the men, and there was times was different. Culture was different. It wasn't a lot of technology. So men was the breadwinner. They was the provider, right? But they would, have other things going on, and that they decided to disappear or go leave their kids with the woman or their wife or whoever the case may be. And that's how the culture is. So now the culture is different now. It's different to where there's technology. There's a whole bunch of other factors that women are more independent. They can go out and work. They can, do whatever they need to do. And then the man, he leaves, but then the system and the court system, and we already know how that goes, they're going to put the man on child support. But the slap in the face to me is when you're on the child support system and you try to be there for the child grows up, gets to age 20, 21 or older, and then the relationship is still bad because now the child is now acting as such as the parent taught them to be. In this case, when the mother teaches the child and they raise the child and they nurture the child in the incorrect way, and they respond to the dad disrespectful, or they feel like that the dad is obligated, or they feel like he owes them something because he wasn't there, in the sense of because of the relationship with the mother split, they feel like they're obligated to do for this child until they feel like it. In some sense, for me, I wasn't physically there all the time because one, I'm in the military, and two, the relationship wasn't good between me and the mother. But when I did try to be there for her, when I tried to come visit and tried to show myself, was those times appreciated? Was those times valued? And it matters because, at least it matters to me, because now when you got a grown child and they don't recognize what you've done, they don't recognize that the things you have done. And I know a lot of people would say, well, that's your child regardless. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter how they act, and it doesn't matter how they treat you. They're still your child, and you need to do for them as such as you would when they were little. And that's the culture today. They don't matter how bad that child is in their eyes. The child is always right. The child is always good. Even if they're not good, even if they're not perfect, they still would act the same way towards their child. Now, I'm not saying don't love your child. I'm not saying don't support your child when they get older, when they become an adult. But when you're starting to be disrespectful and you don't value what the person has done, I personally don't believe that I should support a child or be there for a child that doesn't even appreciate what it's done. And I know some people are going to say that doesn't matter. You continue to do for your child regardless. I don't believe in that. Because this is one of the issues, and we're going to hit on, this is the part of the channel where I start talking about African American or black people. With the black African American culture. And we can disagree to agree. We can say whatever we want to say, but we all know that when it comes to black relationships, when it comes to families, homes, we know there's a lot of broken homes. Some due to the man not taking responsibility. The man doesn't want to see the value in the family. The man doesn't want to be with the woman, and they go off to be with someone else. Or, and there's an or to this, where the relationships are so bad between the mom and the dad that the man just leaves because he doesn't want to deal with the woman so much. He doesn't want to deal with the toxic mess. He doesn't want to deal with the disrespect and the nagging and all that other type of stuff. So we can look at it from a man's perspective of not being there. We can look at it from a woman's perspective. But we all know in the black community, for the most part, a lot of these homes are broken and a lot of kids are left to the wayside. And we also all know, too, that a lot of women have the children as the custodial parent. And however that woman is, however she is as a person, her character and her integrity is, that's going to carry over to the children. And if we know that the woman doesn't care for the father for whatever reason, because the relationship ended or because he left, he cheated, he did something wrong in her eyes, whether it's true or not, she's going to have some disdain toward that man. So therefore, how does that pass on to the children? How many times have we heard in the communities where the mother told the child that the dad is nothing, that he's a piece of crap, that he doesn't care, that he's nothing, right? How many times have we heard this in our homes? And then that child grows up, whether a son or a daughter, and then when the dad either gets it together or come around, or they see their dad out and about, they have hate and disdain toward the dad because of what the mother said. How many times where there were dads that maybe they wasn't with the mother anymore, maybe they might have moved on to someone else, but they were still active in the child's life. They were still there. They were still trying to speak. They were still trying to pour into the child. How much did more so than the mom talks about the dad to the child, and then when they get to a certain age, they're having issues understanding why they feel this way toward their father, or understanding when, or better yet, when the dad fails or the dad decides to say, I'm not going to do something. I'm not going to do something. Then the mother and the child both agree, and then they cut the dad out, or they disrespect the dad, or they call the dad nothing, or they hurt the dad's feelings or whatever. And see, again, we can sit here and say that doesn't matter. You're a man, you're tough, don't worry about it, it's nothing, keep it moving. But that's what's been told for centuries. That's what's been told every single time. And if you tell a man this, does it get better? Does the homes get better? Does relationships get better when you tell a man that it's don't brush it off and it's okay, that this shouldn't be addressed, that the man don't have emotions and he should check his emotions? We need to address the problem. The problem is that when you step outside and you do things the incorrect way when dealing with relationships, there's a potential chance whoever you're raising your child, whoever the woman is raising your child, they're going to teach the child to be a certain type of way. So it's not just me. When I heard this podcast, when I heard public figures and celebrities speaking out about this stuff, and again, he's explicit. He's telling his daughter a B. He says his daughter is a B word. I may play the clip, but it's so vulgar I may not. But the clip, he says that. And why does he say that? Is that right? No, it's not right. But what went on between him and his daughter that he's to the point where he's fed up and he has to go to this result and say this stuff. So my points to this is, and there's a couple points I want to bring up. And I've said this before in my previous videos, and I'm going to continue to say this stuff until it sinks in. Until that hopefully men will see and understand who they are. As a young man, as a young teen, as a young 18, 19-year-old, that hopefully if no one's telling you this, that if you listen to this video, you'll see that you have to know who you are. You cannot look at a woman or look at a young woman as a sexual object. Because at the end of the day, men have to understand, it ain't just about your pleasure. It ain't about you getting an orgasm. It's about your lineage. It's about how you're going to see your kids' kids and your kids' kids' kids. Because one thing that really hit me across the head when I realized this, when I sat back and I experienced this with a grown child, is that the generational lineage is messed up. Why? Is because None of my daughters never really met a lot of my grandparents, and my grandparents on my dad's side, and aunts and uncles and cousins. There's so much other family that she could have tapped into. But because of the relationship, because of how she was groomed, is that a lot of times couldn't even have her I may have had her once or twice, right? And it's not so much on the mom's fault in certain situations, but I didn't have my daughter a lot. So I couldn't really have the opportunity to really bring bring around generations. So when you don't have involvement, the child misses out on who and what that she can offer, that what she can bring to the family. So it's important that men look for women that understand the value of a father. And when a woman doesn't have her father in her life, and she doesn't understand the value, she's going to raise her children to do as such. And these are the things that we got to understand in our communities. A man has to look past the physical. And I say this all the time. And I know the hormones are raging. I know you don't care because you want to sleep with this girl with the big old booty. I know you see a woman that looks good, and that first thing coming to your mind as a man, I want to have sex with her. We can get into the plan B. We can get into abortion. We can get into these things, right? Because we get out here and we sleep with these women and we want to have the best experience, but we don't understand the consequences. And we can get into contraceptives, but they only go so far. Trust me and believe me, I've done this. I have got with women and had to buy Plan B pills, or she had to buy Plan B pills. I have been, and I had a testimony that I have had a chick get an abortion because I lived this life. Because I didn't want to do what's right. I didn't think about my lineage. I didn't think about the woman that I chose. So it's important to understand as a man who you choose. And it's going to take discipline in your flesh, in your desires, to focus on purpose and then focus on who I choose. Because it don't matter what women you choose. We can get on black women all day, but there's women across the board that we have to be mindful of and see, okay, is this the type of woman that's going to raise my children? Is this the type of woman that if something did happen between me and her, that she's going to cultivate the relationship? And what I mean cultivate, the sole parent, whether it's the father or the mother, but we're talking about the mothers. It is, and if the dad wants to be in the child's life, and he's showing attempt, not just financially, because a lot of women judge it by financial status. If he's paying the money and giving her all this money, then she can judge that he's a good dad. But what about the advice? What about the instruction? What about the time? What about the quality? If a woman sees that a man is spending these quality time, that he's trying to take his kids out, he's trying to talk to him, he's trying to raise them, he's putting them in sports, or he's supporting her in what she's doing. It's other things besides paying money. The job of the mother is to cultivate relationship. I'll give you an example of the situation I'm in now. When I was putting the money in the account, and this relative gets the money from my daughter when she gives it to her, the job of the relative or the mother, whoever it is, if my daughter's using money for other things besides what is she supposed to use it for, that relative is to say, no, that is not right. You need to go talk to your father and you need to work that out. You need to see what he says. You need to understand that respect factor, because he is helping you. I don't have to help you. I did my part for child support. I don't have to help you, but he's helping you. So you need to consult with him and see, okay, is this okay? It's not about the power. It's not about really so much of me saying yes or no. It's about the respect and the principle. It's about saying that the father is respected, or the mother respected because he consulted. But see, in today's generation, respect is gone. And if you're treating your parents like this, what you gonna do when you get out in the real world? What you gonna do when you get into a relationship? What you gonna do when you get into a situation with a boss or roommate or friendship? How you've been raised at home is what you're gonna do outside. So taking the time to understand respect. That is the job of the parent, is to teach. The job as a parent is to go be on TikTok dancing and smoking hookah The job is not to go be a friend to the child. The job of the parent is to instruct, teach, educate, and provide situational awareness to the things that they need to be when they grow up. And sometimes having those hard conversations, sometimes sitting down and saying that's not right and do the right thing is what you need to do as a parent. The child may not like it, and of course they're not going to like it. They're not going to like it, but that's the job of a parent, is to teach them and steer them the correct way. Because one day they're going to be an adult. And what they learn as a child, they're going to act as an adult. And as we notice, society is crumbling and is declining because the children is not being taught the correct way, especially in our communities. The job of the parent, the job of the father is to instruct. It's not to just pay money and just throw money away. Yes, that's part of it. Yes, it's part of a provision is to go out and pay money and go out to support and take your hard-earned money and give it. Yes, that's the part of it, but that's not all of it. Its job is to instruct. And today with mental health, and I'm not knocking mental health. We have some situations there where mental health should be taken seriously. But every time you instruct or you try to teach a child something today, they holler, my mind, I can't take it. And in some cases, yes, in that case, you need to go see a counselor. You need to see a therapist. But every time something is said, you can't just holler, I can't be a parent because I'm not worried about what they're going to do. I can't be a parent because I'm worried about that person's mindset. You have to, in a tactful way, teach your child a way to live. And that's just the truth of the matter. As a man, you need to understand who you sleep with, who you engage sexually with. It's not just a spiritual thing, it's a physical thing. Yeah, you can go and delete the child. Yeah, you can go and take a Plan B pill, and that's into that. But like I said in my last video, if you get to that place where you're going to have a sex with a woman, and you're going to use unprotected sex, and there's potential chance that you're going to get her pregnant, and you know deep down in your heart of hearts that it's just a good time, you know deep down in your heart of hearts that this woman is not going to be your wife, or someone that you want to raise a child with, you need to think about who you sleep with and say, this ain't going to happen. And I know it's hard, and I know a lot of men ain't going to do that. They're going to ignore that, and they're going to still do it. And then the potential chance of them getting that chick pregnant, and she don't want to delete the child. And if she says and then the power is in her now, because then she said, if you don't do this, then I'm going to take you to the courthouse. I'm going to take you to the judge, and you know what the judge is going to do. I already told you in my last video what the judge is going to do. They're going to hit the gavel, and they're going to make you pay every single dime that you think they think that she says you owe. So you got to think. You got to sit there and really think and take and discipline your body and say, no, I'm not going to sleep with her right now. I'm going to see what type of woman she is. And I know a lot of people want to get into the Bible. I know people don't want to hear about God, don't want to hear about Jesus, don't want to hear about nothing. But what I noticed in my life, that when I stepped out of the will of God, when I didn't go against what the word says, when the Bible says how to meet a woman, how to deal with a woman. When I stepped outside of that, these are costs that I'm paying. 20 years, 21 years of costs that I'm paying because I chose to step out and I didn't choose to make sure the woman that I'm sleeping with, that I'm going to marry, I'm going to have a lineage with. Because your lineage matters. Your lineage is no good when you can't speak to the child. Your lineage is no good when your mother, or the mother of your child, raises her to be a certain way. Your lineage is no good when she's disrespectful and doesn't want to respect authority. Or he doesn't want to respect authority. What's the point? What's the point of having a child and having grandchildren and great-grandchildren and passing your lineage down your line? Your name, your blood, going down the bloodline, going down a generation when your generation is cursed. Not cursed because of just being the person in itself, but doing things wrong. When you do things wrong, you put a curse on yourself. When you do things wrong, you cause this potential destruction on your lineage. That's the truth. That's what I learned. And yes, God can redeem and things can turn back around. But at the end of the day, it's not needed when you do it right the first time. When you do it right the first time, you don't need to worry about it. And I know it's hard, and I know monogamy isn't in today. I know it's about polygyny and having multiple women and multiple wives. I know that what the enemy's lying and telling you that it's perfect and this and do this and sleep with this woman and have 6 or 7 baby mamas. I know that's the mood today. I know that's what people are excited about. I know it's plan B and getting and having that orgasm and now I'm gonna run to the Walgreens, I'm gonna run to the Rite Aid, I'm gonna run to the CVS and get a plan B pill and take this and you're good. You want to live and live the way that you want to live in regards to the pleasure, but you don't want to deal with the consequence. But I can speak for you. I can speak for myself. And it ain't just me either. So they say, that's you, that's you, that's you. No, it's not just me. It's a lot of guys that have fell to this trap where they're in a situation with a woman that they don't want to have a kid with, and now they got to deal with the aftermath. They got to deal with the child support. They got to deal with the court. They got to deal with the nagging. They got to deal with the child that's out of character because they're not there in the home because they don't want to deal with the mom. Because they chose wrong to go and sleep with a woman, and now they split, and he going on over here. He with this woman now. She pregnant. It don't work out, and then he bounce around. That's what they did in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. They don't like this woman. I'm gone. I'm gonna go over here. They get into it. He leave that woman. He go over here. He spreads himself. And you look up, and you had 8 baby mamas. And don't sit here and think that these celebrities where they can just have these 10 different baby mamas and everything's cool. You got to have money to please every single one, especially if they're a woman that likes the money and likes that provision from the man. The average man can't do that where they have 6, 7 baby mamas and they can just make sure all of them are good. It's ridiculous. But this is glorified in the black community. The generations are messed up. And it matters. Because how many times when you look back on your life and you're in your 40s and your 50s, if you live that long, if the Lord tarries, you live to your 50s and 60s and you look at the women that you slept with and look at the different kids, how crazy is that to look back? And I'm not saying that it's bad if it works out, right? And you might have 6, 7 different kids with 6, 7 different women and it all works out. But if you look back on your life and you said, if I could have just done it right, do it right. Men, it's your responsibility to choose wisely. That is your responsibility. It's not the woman's responsibility. Because all the woman's going to do is present it to you and you can do what you want. But it's up to the man to look past your flesh, look past those sexual desires, look past how she looks, and sit down and see if this is the one that I'm going to be with. If she's not, then disappear, leave. Move on, find someone else. But to go and be reckless, whether you think you get away with it or not, is foolish. It's a foolish thing to do. And I'm not talking about something from a book. I'm not talking about something someone else said. I'm talking about it from my own experience. It is foolish that I did what I did because now I'm the child's about to be 21 years old, and we are all of that to where we don't even speak today. Because I couldn't be who I needed to be. Because I chose a woman that does not cultivate the child. They do the child for their purposes. They train the child to make sure it fits them. They don't value a man in their life. That's why a lot of times with kids like that, they end up single, they end up in failed relationships. The mothers end up in failed relationships because they don't understand the role of a man and what he's supposed to do. And I'm not talking about being this tyrant. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the essence of a man in regards to how he leads, how he take care of the home in every way, and how, he raises children. The biblical way, where the man is the head, but he also is respected, and he respects his home, and he leads his home, and the generations spread like flowers on the field. But today, that's not the mindset. We worry about reparations. We worry about Martin Luther King. We worry about, who gonna get economics. We worry about business, entrepreneurship. We worry about looking at history tapes and looking at those who've done it before us. We worry about the stuff with police and judicial system. We worry about the prison system, and all these things are good. All these things are awesome. Learn your history. February is Black History Month. Learn about MLK and what he did. Listen to his tapes. Read his books. Read about Rosa Parks. Yes, do all that. But what we need to do, the foundation is dealing, like I said this before, it starts with the home. We honor those who did it before us by doing our part when it comes to marriage and relationships. It comes to our part when our lineage. It comes to our part with the kids. What's the point of having a community when it's destroyed? What's part of having a school system or having our own thing or having entrepreneurships and businesses when we raise children that destroys it? We raise kids that don't value business, value family, value children, value a mother and a father, value a community where everyone sticks together, value a school system that isn't ran from agendas and all types of woke culture, but is ran by those who it is going to benefit. Instead of worrying about who gonna get reparations and who gonna get this and the Indians getting that, Native Americans getting this and the Asians getting this, worry about building our homes. Worry about picking women and men that's gonna come together and they're going to value the home and raise their children and respect. Worry about if the man is not gonna step out on the woman and cheat or disvalue the woman, or a woman worrying about, I'm gonna get a man that's gonna provide, that's gonna give me a mansion and a car and a Lamborghini and take me on a boat and fly me out. When all that woman does is provide sex, cooking, and cleaning, which to me, and I'm gonna say it, and I don't care if you like it, they're basic because every woman can pretty much do it today. The values of a relationship, a culture needs to change. Longevity and loyalty and respect. I understand that now because I'm in a marriage where I have a woman that respects me. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to fight with her. We have a child, we have children that we can cultivate, and we're going to raise them to carry the generational legacy that needs to be carried when I should have done in the first place. There's no disrespect and bashing. I'm not out here running these streets and chasing women. I'm home. You know what I'm saying? Generational wealth is built. Financial and otherwise. It's going to be built because when my daughter grows up, when the sons grow up, when they grow up, when all the kids come to a point, they're going to remember how it's supposed to be done. Nothing's perfect. It ain't always easy, but it's worth to fixing your home. And it ain't about just, I want things my way. Because if you don't think about that, we're going to be in the same boat. We're going to be having kids that don't care for each other. They don't care for the father, don't care for the mother. They broken, they hurt, they're angry. They don't value family, they don't value anything. Seen it so many times, so we can't sit here and say that it ain't happening because I've seen it in so many different occasions where the father isn't involved, they're not involved, or they partly time involved, and the child isn't doing well, they're not focused, there's something off. And yes, we can have a village to raise a child, we can have other people, mentorships and uncles and football teams and this and that, but if we do it right, we can have that and the father and the mother. That's what needs to change. Why can't we have that? Why can't we have where homes are consulted by, and I'm not saying that with both parents at home that everything's perfect, because we have kids that might stray even with both parents in the home. But the chances are that if both parents have a strong foundation and they have a strong connection and will to raise their kids the correct way, the likelihood that they'll be successful or the likelihood that they'll understand the value will be there. That's what we need to fix, man. Not talking about all the other stuff. We're invested in culture that destroys homes, destroys relationships. If you don't want to be with a woman, don't waste your time. Yeah, you can get your orgasm and move on. You can get your nut and move on. You can go and do this and do that, but that's not the way to do it. Discipline yourself. I challenge you as a man. I challenge you as a man to sit back and look at the women that you deal with. And look at the woman that you deal with and analyze her character, analyze her integrity, analyze that she's a good mom or would be a good mom. Look at these things and ask yourself these questions. Try to. It may be so hard for you to do, but try to not look at the woman in a sexual way. Try to really just take sex out the picture for a season and just say, okay, outside of sex, would I still deal with this woman? Would I still consider marrying her? Would I still consider being with her? Or is just sex alone? If it's just sex only, That should tell you right there that ain't the woman you need to deal with. And I challenge you to, instead of just having sex with her and kicking her to the side, just don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Cut ties and move on. I challenge you to do that instead of just, oh, I'm just gonna get the yams and move on. I'm gonna get the smash and move on. That's what most men think today. They want the sex, but they don't want the woman. Challenge you to sit back and look and say, I'm invested into my lineage. I'm invested into my what's after me. What happens to me if I died today? How many men did we know that died today and had kids with all these different women and they're all over the place? No investment, no time, no quality. They just got kids running around, but they're gone. If I pass, I want to at least have some type of legacy, some type of lineage that they remember what has been taught. That they remember that dad invested into family, culture, love, and respect. That's what it is. If you think this way as a man, you'll make better decisions. You'll make decisions that will affect everyone in your household. Whether you are a single man now and you're planning to have a family one day, or if you already into a marriage and you may think that, man, this woman, she may get on my nerves, but you know some good qualities. When you end it marriage, it's too late, because now guess what? You don't want to be with the woman no more. Then what you gonna do? This is why we need to do it before I put the ring on the finger, or before I commit, or before I lay down. Is this woman right for me and my lineage? And if it's the woman, then I'm gonna switch it to gears. If you're a woman, this applies too, because is this the man that's gonna impregnate me? Women, you're cultivators, you're incubators, you're nurturers. You don't understand how powerful you are as a woman, because you can influence the man in a good way or a bad way. You can influence your child in a good way or a bad way. I see the difference. My wife, she cultivates my children in a good way. She teaches them words of wisdom and value. She teaches them and sits with them and talk with them. Not cuss at them, not tell them they're nothing, not beat on them. She sits with them and cultivates them. So as a woman, you have to understand who you are. And you don't you don't use the power that God has given you to manipulate and control and to terrorize. You use it to build and to incubate and to nurture godly and good offspring. You have to understand who you are. And if the man doesn't value who you are, if all he values is sex and all he values is what he can put up inside, if he just values the sexual nature, then you have to understand that you're worth more than that. And you need to say, nope, I'm not going to allow. I'm not going to use a man for what he can give me. I'm going to sleep with a man for he can give me this bag or he can give me what I want. You need to discipline yourself to say, I'm worth more than that, and it is worth more than that. I need to have a man who's going to value me, respect me, and be able to love me the way I'm supposed to be loved, and to not only provide, of course, but I'm going to value what he brings to the table, and he's going to value what I bring to the table. And when we come together and have a child, we both going to value that child or those children, and we're going to go and create a lineage that once I leave this earth, because we all going to leave one day, I know and I'm in good hands. I know that I did all I could to make sure I had a good lineage. That if I'm gone, my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids are going to continue with the legacy that I left. That is the success of a man. There's so many men that probably left from here with millions of dollars, but they have no legacy, no lineage for their children. They left a financial legacy. They left businesses and cash and assets and liquidations. But did they leave a legacy that's going to be carried on without no one telling them to continue the way it should be as they left? If they say about Big Mama used to cook on Sundays. And she used to do the catfish and the fried chicken and the collard greens and the sweet potatoes and the mac and cheese and the sweet potato pie and the pound cake and the sweet tea and the Kool-Aid. When Big Mama gone, like that movie Soul Food, they picked up the legacy and cooked the Sunday dinners because that's what she did. They left a legacy to continue a family bond. And they, regardless of how life came at them, regardless of what was done or how inconvenienced that Big Mama was, or it would never be good as Big Mama, but they sat in the kitchen, they cooked that catfish and them fried chicken and them chitlins. That's how it needs to be with a man. It should be when the man gone that they say, remember Dad used to talk about this? Remember we did this when Dad showed us this? Remember how he taught us how to have our kids? Now I got a son. I got a daughter. And now I'm going to do exactly what my dad did for me. I'm going to be there and I'm going to support my family. Take care of my wife and my kids. That's how it's done. That's what's important. So I hope this helps. I hope this helps, man. Because it sucks, man. It sucks that now you got to cut your kid off. It sucks that my daughter, we may not talk again. All because of a misunderstanding. All because I tried to do my best to pour into her. It's hard when you have opposition against you. It's hard when you have the mom and the aunt and the cousin and the grandma and everyone else against you. It's hard when the other parent don't see value. That's why we got to choose rightly. I keep saying it. I said it multiple times. I purposely said it multiple times so you can really dig in and see, man, I need to take this seriously. So that's all I got. Hope this helps someone. If you into this, and I'm sorry if you into this. If you are you dealing with this? No, you're not alone. You're not alone. And all I can tell you is you have to have peace within yourself and focus on the future. If the child comes back around and y'all can get to a place that things will work out, and hopefully she'll understand or he will understand that you're about business, and yes, you have the best intentions for them. But if they don't, you gotta move on. You gotta move on, and you gotta live life. So that's all I got. Y'all guys be well, and I'll see y'all in the next one.